Hey, man. Dukes and Bell, it's our pre-show. It's called Behind the Curtain. Today is supposed to be Carl Duke's return to the show after his Around the World in 80 days. As I told Day Day and Orin, that's Damian Day Day Lewis and Orin Romain. He's the producer engineer, and that's our producer, brains of the operation. Carl's not coming back. He's never coming back. He's not even here. So what's up? What up with that? What's up with that?
That time off, man. That time off probably felt good to him.
What up with that? My dogs are here, and the cat, and Curtis, and everybody's here. Carl had to go get the dogs from the vet. From boarding, because he was out of town for a minute, as you know. But Carl will be back today on Dukes and Bell. Plenty to talk about, and we'll switch gears from the Falcons for a second to the Braves, who announced that they do have a shortstop for 1 year for $20 million. And what do you guys think of Hassan Kim coming back? He opted out. It was 18 mil if he stayed. Makes an extra 2 mil, but it's only a 1 year deal. Probably couldn't get that much more anywhere else. So just a quickie for the Braves as a stopgap. You like it or not?
Yeah, for me, I like it. It sounds like from what I'm reading, they did look to try to make it a longer term of a deal, but didn't really kind of reach that point. So they decided on the 1 year deal in hopes that based on how the season goes, they can maybe at some point revisit and maybe bring them in long term. For me, the one question I kind of wonder and see what you guys think is, our issue with Ronald Acuna and as far as where he ends up in the lineup, I think Kim was ninth in the lineup when he was with us. I think he was batting ninth. If we can get that production, out of him that he kind of was like Alex Anthopoulos said when he was with San Diego. Or does that make you feel comfortable with him kind of being at the bottom of the order, somewhere in that 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, if we can beef it up, because as we said the other day, Orin, I think I was working with Mike Johnson. We were talking about how 7, 8, 9 was the key in 21 through 23, and then the last couple of years has fallen off big time.
Yeah, Kim will kind of help to he won't give you like crazy production, but he'll be solid enough in 9 to where you won't have to worry about moving him around too much. I like the signing because it isn't something that's going to be long term into the pocket. He kind of reached the best of both worlds, especially with a Boris client, because, Boris clients, God knows that dude does not like to settle. And I joked last night, too, about how this was the one deal that didn't have the 1% donation to the Braves Foundation, because Boris wants all that money back, I guess.
Is he? I looked it up. I couldn't see he was a Boris guy. I couldn't find out who his rep was. Because I literally spent, talk about like, we do intensive research on this program. Spent 5 minutes this morning on a search engine trying to find out who Hassan Kim's agent was on a 1 year, $20 million deal.
So he got the 1 year deal with Boris. He very much liked being here last year. And you heard rumors and rumblings of that at the winter meetings from Anthopoulos and company that, hey, if Hassan Kim had his way, he would be back here next year. And, the market being what it was, he's got a chance next year. He only played, I think, 54, 55 games last year. He's got a chance to kind of stretch that out over an entire season, and then maybe there's a long-term deal he can get, because the talk was too, there were long-term deals he turned down, but maybe if he stays healthy this entire year or for a good chunk of the year and can show a little bit more pop in that bat, and the glove is there too, the longer-term deal that he wants is going to be available for him after the season.
And guys are asking us about Mauricio Dubon. That's kind of a utility guy. That's more of an insurance policy for when Ozzie comes back, and if Ozzie doesn't rake, because that is a guy that can play shortstop. He can play any position basically in the infield. So you got some Gold Glove talent. And now the question is, does Hassan Kim's bat pick up? You got Yastrzemski as depth in the outfield, and and those are all nice moves. They're budget moves. It's not like you're breaking the bank. My major concern was, I'm sick and tired, but they're doing it every year. So as they said, just stop complaining and get used to it. They're not going to invest heavy in starting pitching. They're just going to hope, fingers crossed, that everybody stays healthy and guys that never pitched 240 innings or whatever the benchmark is going to be for Hurston Waldrop, that he can cover that, and we'll see. I still think that you found yourself a really good relief pitcher that should be the closer. I know you and I debated that the other day. And I know that that's not the way it's apparently going to work. Iglesias is going to be the closer over Suarez as the setup man. We'll be curious to ask Carl what he thinks about that, because these are moves that went down when he was on vacation. So Carl will be on today, but the Braves do sort of lock up the shortstop, albeit in a short term, in a 1 year deal with Hassan Kim.
I still think there's maybe one more move to be made. I do think they add maybe a back of the end rotation guy. They aren't crazy over right now. I think the competitive balance tax, I saw today, like their payroll is in the 260s right now. which is 5th in Major League Baseball. So there may
all
be
those
one more
contracts have
move.
escalated. Sorry to cut you off on all those contracts. So that's what I'm saying. When we talk about this tonight, Bellyache, McGurk and company will say, "Hey, we're top 5 in spending." That's always the cop out.
So hopefully there's one more move to be made with that. But
right.
And then also too, you got to clear with these contracts or the 1-year deals right now. You got to clear about $50 million off the books for next year. So there's going to be $50 million available next year to go ahead and do some things also.
Right. Meanwhile, the Dodgers just hit $1 billion.
They hit
all the salaries. It's insane.
The deferred elements is ridiculous.
Right. And that's, we talked about, everybody knows how they were able to, move some money around for their biggest player, their star. And it's just, it is kind of funny for, with the way the payroll scale goes. And the Mets, it's funny, the guys who got like billionaire owners, and big time owners that you think are going to spend like drunken sailors. And the Mets jettison Diaz and Alonso, which is kind of curious in this division, right? So we'll see where that one goes. All right, man. Plenty more on baseball. Get Carl's take on the Braves moves, as there's been a bunch while he was on vacay. Carl will be on later today, 2 to 6. Also, Dave Archer talking Falcons as we get ready for an Arizona team, which some would say, whoop, throw up the white flag on that one. I saw Gannon saying they've still got something to play for, blah, blah, blah. Kyler Murray seems like, he's dead man walking out there. They do have a great tight end we've got to account for. And I guess the biggest question for Falcon fans is, will we see Drake London back? And when Drake comes in, can they still incorporate the greatness that has become Kyle Pitts the last 3 weeks? And now Kyle Pitts is one, in the minds of many Pitts fans, he always was elite. Now he's doing it at least consistently the last month. What happens when Drake comes? By the way, you think Drake comes back? Or should they shut down Drake?
It's so tricky. I asked this a couple of weeks ago, and I think it might have been you, Mike, that brought up the fact that if there's incentives involved, then yeah, you can understand why he'd want to come back and why the Falcons would agree to allow him to come back. And I think having 1,000-yard receptions is one of his incentives this year in regards to bonuses and things of that nature. And I don't know how far off he is from that, and if it's doable in these last 3 games. Me personally, though, with the fact that I've already lost my quarterback, my second-year quarterback, I would probably, lean on him to consider sitting out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see, if Zach Robinson's even going to be back next year, if he could sort of incorporate all these pieces. We said this yesterday. Bo Morgan was in for Carl Dukes on the show, and I said, let's take that trip all the way back to August. We were doing the show after Falcons camp up at Hooters in Buford. And, hey, man, Bijan in the backfield. You can even have Bijan and Algier back there. You got Pitts and Drake and Mooney. Man, we're going to set the tone. How do you never happened. Never consistently happened where we were going to create these mismatches we thought we were going to get. Certainly, a lot of that was Penix's, development or sort of stunted development. How much of that do you put on the offense? They ask him to play. And we spent, weeks talking about pistol versus how much better Cousins now looks under center and the play action, which the play action under center, it just makes things work. It freezes everybody for that half second a little bit more than it does in the pistol. And Arch and I debated that on Friday's show. But now moving forward, I'd love to see Drake, if nothing else, to see if they can incorporate, if we're going to make a decision on Pitts coming back, those two have got to function together. Two guys, and the argument, Orin, is why he's so successful is Pitts is basically operating in the same area where Drake would. Same route, same part of the field.
You went mute, Orin.
Orin, it's like a Japanese movie. There you go. I got you now.
There we go. Bo mentioned yesterday that Pitts needs to go ahead and make that full leap and jump into becoming that guy on the outside, the receiver type, and then going and getting a tight end to do all the other stuff.
Like a Jimmy Graham.
The problem with that, too, is that just everything is predicated right now on what that number one role for a receiver is going to be and how you got 2 guys that are basically going to be occupying the same space at the same time. That'll be a problem for whoever the new offensive coordinator is. The problem is this: if Pitts doesn't become that one receiver, that number one guy type, or if the targets aren't there like they were these last couple of weeks, does that disinterest level of him pop back up? Do we start to see the effort start to wane again? Where, hey, like I'm only getting 3 targets a game, so I'm not going to necessarily go out there and bust it like I was before when I knew I was going to be the man getting 9, 10 targets a game. So that's the question, and this is a bad question to have about a guy. You're never going to question his athletic ability, but when you see issues with his effort and the want and the desire, that's what kind of leaves me wanting and waiting and concerned because, all right, what if it's not that way? What if it's not
Right.
the way it was before? Are you going to become the guy on the outside who, if the Falcons choose to give you the franchise tag or they choose to re-up you with a new deal, if it's not the way you wanted to be on the outside, do you revert to the Kyle Pitts we've seen kind of on and off?
Right. No, that's it. I mean, it's the consistency going to be there. That's what it's about. I mean, franchise tag. We got a lot of guys that are going to come due. We got eventually to pay Bergeron. You mentioned Bijan. You talked about the elites. Drake's got to get paid. Surprised they didn't pick up Drake earlier this year. But you're right. Everyone's has to talk about this money, and then you don't even know where the quarterback's going. We got to find a way to get that $57 million off the books. Like, even if we win all our games out with Kirk Cousins, I still don't know if I can do that. By the way, if you missed it yesterday, big announcement. Thanks to Mike Conti, our boss, David Bassett, who runs PR for the Falcons. We will have Kirk Cousins in our studio, the Ticketmaster Studios, on Wednesday, as Carl Dukes and I will be at Falcons headquarters. After we talk to Raheem, we're going to sit down and talk to Kirk about everything and hopefully get some answers for you guys. Looking forward to it. All right, we didn't mention this yesterday, back to work on Monday, but now we get the police report and more information. This is, the kind of stuff that before we got to NIL, it was like, the kind of stuff Florida State usually would get in trouble for. Jameis Winston with crab legs or getting free shoes, university. In this case, you got some Georgia players, and Day, you can jump in on this one. It just kind of blows my mind in an era where these guys are all making pocket money. The Dontrell Glover and Bo Walker, apparently an oversight. They were doing the self-checkout at, was this at Walmart? Where was this at?
Walmart.
Walmart, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
And they left some stuff off the thing, and then the cops come, get involved, and then the guy say, "Hey, it's a mistake, an oversight." The guys are willing to pay, and then allegedly Walmart says, "No, we're going to press charges." I mean, first off, yes, it's embarrassing. Look, it's not the end of the world, but I mean, now the guys are making this extra loot. It's almost inexcusable, or is it just simply we've all been there? You're checking out at Kroger or Publix, and doop doop doop, and you miss something, but they missed some Tostino pizza rolls, some paper products. So I don't know. I just can't believe that under the circumstances, Walmart, whoever's running the Walmart out there, wouldn't just say, "Hey, okay, fine. You guys, here's the rule. You can't come back in the store for a year or whatever, and that's it. We won't press charges and let bygones be bygones." But they turned it into a freaking federal case. This is normally what Athens Clark County does for less than a quarter of an eighth of an ounce of weed in a dorm room. I can't believe this became a thing, and these guys had to go to jail over it.
Got cuffed and everything.
It's unfortunate, man. I mean, look.
And Glover's a starter. For those who don't know, this is Dontrell Glover. He's a freshman. It's important.
Yeah.
The backup running back, I don't give a crap. But one of the starting linemen.
Bo Walker has the potential to be one of Georgia's very, very top stars in the future. He was,
just for top playoff. So. Let's say for right now's playoff picture. I got a starting offensive line.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Like you said, we've all done things. And I've literally had occasions where I forgot to scan something and gone back in the store and said, "Hey, I forgot. I just realized I didn't pay for the water because it was on the bottom of the shopping cart." You know what I mean? Things of that nature. So, obviously we don't know all the details, but it does sound like it was a mishap. You do have to ask yourself, okay, how did you kind of not scan it and get it in the bag? Because, I'm assuming they went through self-checkout. Mm-hmm. So you do kind of have to ask yourself, how did that part of it happen? But at the end of the day, if the officers said these guys are willing to pay, why not just let them pay?
Yeah. I don't get it. And look, I'm not telling you not to shop at that store, but there'll be a lot of people in Athens going, "I ain't shopping at that store." Good luck trying to make it through a weekend without Walmart. But it sometimes wears a little bit of common sense. We are going by I'm reading the Athens Banner Herald, which has the more detailed story on this than USA Today, obviously in the HAC, but you can read it at your own leisure if you're a dog fan. But just the concern is a starter. How is the starter going to be disciplined? Kirby will, of course, not tell the media anything and say it'll be handled internally. And they're going to run. But some would say, look, if the optics are you got to sit a guy for half, are we going to do selective justice on this? Are we going to the way Michigan disciplines their coaches before they get arrested?
It's selective. Game. You're going to be
selectively not going to be suspended for the first game, but that second game he's out.
Do you think Kirby was like, "Show me the tape. Let me see the tape"? You think he went back and was like, "Let me see the tape"?
Right. Right. Like I get it. And we got the full spectrum of people that say, hey, let the players go to, hey, they broke the law. It's like, shut up, you old fart. I don't want to hear it. I mean, it's a situation that could have been averted based on what's been reported. So stay tuned on that. We'll get Carl's take on the Braves moves. I'm sure Carl's going to have strong opinions on Pitts because not once but twice in the last 3 years, Carl's has said this season's all about Pitts and kind of stepping up. And Pitts continues to impress. And now, as we said, after the Tampa Bay win, more questions than answers. Orin, we'll have some good audio today to play for you. Dave Archer's going to join us. We'll also talk about the dog situation and the awkward arrests with Connor Riley from Dog Nation. That's about 4 o'clock, Day?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
All right. Now, again, Carl is supposedly getting the dogs from the boarding place. If he's there at 2, we'll find out. It could be Orin jumping in. It's Mike and Orin today here on the show. Have a great day. 2 to 6, Dukesville. Thanks for watching Behind the Curtain. We'll talk to you tomorrow.